After accomplishing what a lot of people said he couldn't do, the last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, was going to the Super Bowl. Stop me if you've heard this one before. I didn't know how to approach this episode. For many Niner fans, this is a game they want to forget, and for good reason. I mean, I've only ever watched this game once. In fact, the original title for this episode was Journey's End, because this series was only ever meant to be 2 seasons. But what's interesting about this game is that a lot of people like to use this game as justification for why Purdy isn't one of the top quarterbacks in the league, because he couldn't win the big one. He had his chance and he lost. He's just not that guy. One of the things I wanted to make sure when making this series was that I didn't lay the blame at anyone else's feet if the Niners lost the game and Purdy played bad. In the Browns game, Purdy didn't play well, but he led the team down the field at the end of the game and put them in position to win, but the field goal was missed. I didn't lay the blame at the kicker's feet because kicks are missed all the time. In the Vikings game, Purdy played well, but at one point he likely suffered a concussion, which led to 2 interceptions, and they lost. In the Bengals game, by stats alone, Purdy played great and was the team's leading rusher. But again, back-to-back interceptions, among a few other things, led to them losing the game. And in the Ravens game, Purdy didn't play well at all. 4 interceptions, regardless of the circumstance, is hard to come back from, and they ended up losing. But in the Super Bowl, his first Super Bowl, he played well. The unfortunate part of this game, though, was that he had to overcome some misfortune, and as much as he tried to, the game just didn't go their way. An unfortunate fumble on the first drive, followed by some drive-stopping penalties on another, a blocked extra point, a muffed punt, and a freak injury all contributed to the loss. Notice how I didn't mention names? Because, as I said, that's not what this series is about. But if you ask a few people in the media, they'll be quick to mention the reason the Niners lost. Brock Purdy should have played better. Never mind the fact that Purdy walked off the field 3 times with the lead, twice in the fourth quarter and again in overtime. When that's brought up, people will be quick to mention that if Purdy was better, he would have walked off the field with a touchdown rather than a field goal, especially with Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the field. Yet they always seem to forget that in addition to all the things I mentioned earlier, the final nail in the proverbial coffin is the fact that one of the offensive line did not stick to his assigned block, which left Chris Jones free to rush Purdy. From the time Purdy receives the snap to the time Jones was in his face was about 1.25 seconds. To put that into perspective, the quickest average time for snap to release throws is 2.43 seconds. And people will say, well, Brandon Ayuk was wide open in the end zone. Yeah, he was. And if Purdy had any sort of protection on that play, it most likely would have resulted in a touchdown and possibly the win. But people don't really care about that, do they? Nothing is going to change the fact that the Niners lost the game. And so I thought, where does the story go from here? Purdy, in just 2 seasons in the NFL, went from Mr. Irrelevant to a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. The story was over. There was nothing else left for him to prove to anyone. The theme of the season was media narratives. The media wanted to see many things from him. They wanted to see him play without all of his Avengers, and he did that in the playoff game when Deebo Samuel went down in the first quarter. They wanted to see him lead a game-winning drive, and if the field goal was made, he does it in week 6, but that didn't matter because he did it in the playoffs against the Packers. They wanted to see him be more than just a dink-and-dunk quarterback. And in my opinion, he did that his rookie year with all of the deep passes he made in various games, but that didn't matter because during this season he averaged 9.6 yards per attempt. That led the league, and he was 1.3 yards higher than the quarterback below him. They wanted to see him struggle, but then rise above it and lead his team to a comeback victory. And he did that in the NFC Championship when, after halftime, down 24-7, he and the rest of the offense scored 27 unanswered points. And he did that by putting the team on his shoulders 3 different times for a combined 48 yards, which led to 2 touchdowns and a field goal. He did all of that and never once changed the way he played. He didn't lose confidence when the team lost, and he didn't melt down when the team was down in the biggest moments. And in the Super Bowl, when the lights were brightest, he could hold his head high every single time he left the field with the lead. He truly showed everyone who ever doubted him that they were wrong. And in the end, for some, it simply didn't matter. I accepted the fact that the media was going to dismiss him because of the loss, regardless of how he played. It didn't matter that 30 other quarterbacks weren't playing in the biggest game of the season. It didn't matter that 6 other terrific quarterbacks were sitting on their couch like the rest of us, watching the last pick in the draft, playing a game that all but 2 of them had never even been to before. Nope, none of it mattered, because Brock Purdy was never supposed to step foot on a football field. That, more than anything, was why this was going to be the last episode of this series. Brock had nothing left to prove, and I didn't think there was any more that needed to be said. Unfortunately, one of the problems was that I started making this series in the middle of the 2024 season. The other problem was that this season started winding down after the 2024 season. And after the 2024 season, I quickly realized that what I had originally thought was completely wrong. The most ruthless, cutthroat critics in the NFL aren't media personalities. Oh no, far from it. The most ruthless, cutthroat critics in the NFL are the fans. After 2023, fans were singing the praises of the ultimate underdog. After 2024, however, fans were calling for him to be traded. And that is when I decided to make season 3. Because I felt it was time that people saw the season through the eyes of someone who could actually be objective. This series has never been about negativity, and that's not going to change. But I can't stand idly by anymore and watch as certain content creators try to divide the fan base and try to cause chaos with their bogus takes and revisionist history. And so, what used to be Journey's End is now just the beginning. And that's going to do it for this video. If you like this content, drop a like and leave a comment. To stay up to date, click that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see ya in the next one.